All right, let's talk about the high-stakes world of AI chips. There's one name that just keeps popping up as the ultimate challenger, AMD. But with all the buzz, what does their big push into AI actually mean for the stock? Let's get into it.
And that really gets us to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? We've all seen the headlines about AMD, but is the company's ambition enough to justify that pretty high price tag on its stock? Or is its rival, Nvidia, actually the smarter bet? We're going to unpack both sides of this argument.
So first things first, let's look at the bull case. Why are so many investors so optimistic about AMD? Well, it's a powerful argument, and it's all centered on the AI revolution. You know, the game really changed for AMD back in 2025. That's when they jumped headfirst into the AI data center market, and they're not just another company in the space. They've successfully positioned themselves as the go-to alternative to Nvidia. That's a huge deal. It's really the main engine driving their entire growth story. And you can see that story playing out right here on this timeline. Yeah, there was a little dip a few years back, but then you see revenue starting to pick up speed, mostly thanks to those data center sales. But here's the key. It's not just a one-trick pony. The recovery in their classic gaming and PC businesses is adding even more fuel to the fire. It paints a picture of much broader growth.
So, to pull it all together, you've got multiple things going right at the same time. You've got AI data centers taking off, the gaming business is bouncing back, and there's a big PC upgrade cycle happening. Being that viable second choice is just incredibly valuable. And all of this is happening under what a lot of people think is some of the best leadership in the industry.
And speaking of leadership, this quote really says it all. You can have the best product in the world, but having a proven leader like Lisa Su steering the ship, well, that's a huge part of the bullish argument. It gives investors a ton of confidence that the company's in very capable hands.
Okay, so that's the optimistic view. And it sounds pretty compelling, right? But as with any investment, there's always another side to the story.
So let's flip the coin and look at the bear case. This is where things get a bit more complicated because there are some really significant challenges and risks that you just can't ignore. The first big headwind is this. AMD is basically fighting a war on two fronts. On one side, you have Nvidia, the king of the hill, a dominant leader with way more financial firepower. But on the other side, you've got AMD's own customers. We're talking the big tech giants who are starting to develop their own chips. This could squeeze AMD from both directions. And this is where the bear case really starts to gain some serious traction. When you put the raw numbers side by side, Nvidia just looks financially stronger on almost every key metric. I mean, look at the return on capital and the cash flow. Nvidia is just playing in a different league when it comes to profitability. And yet, AMD is trading at a higher valuation.
I mean, wow, this chart just drives that point home, doesn't it? Return on invested capital, that's just a measure of how good a company is at turning money into more money. And that gap you see, that nearly 30 times difference, that's a huge talking point for the bears. It really makes you question if AMD's performance justifies its stock price, especially compared to its main rival.
And this number, this is right at the heart of the whole valuation debate, a forward price-to-earnings ratio of about 40. What that means is investors are paying $40 for every single dollar of AMD's expected future profits. That's a pretty steep price, and it's actually higher than its more profitable competitor. It suggests that a ton of future growth is already baked into the price.
So the whole bear case really just boils down to this simple idea. You have a stronger company, Nvidia, that's performing better financially, but it's actually trading at a cheaper valuation. That's a really tough argument for any AMD bull to ignore.
Okay, so we've looked at the fundamentals, we've heard the bull and the bear arguments. Now let's see how this whole battle is actually playing out on the stock chart itself. Where are the key battle lines that traders are watching?
All right, for the bulls, the mission is pretty clear. Prove that this upward trend has more room to run. And to do that, they're keeping a close eye on a few specific price levels that would signal that the strength is continuing. So, they're looking for a clean, decisive break above that recent high, which is acting like a ceiling right now. If they can punch through that, it could open the door for the next leg up. But just as important is holding that key support zone below. As long as the price stays above that floor and above the 200-day moving average, which is a big long-term trend indicator, the uptrend is still in play.
Now, on the flip side, the bears are watching for any sign of weakness, any hint of a breakdown, and there are some pretty clear danger zones that could signal the trend is about to change.
For the bears, the first major red flag would be a sustained break below that key support zone we just mentioned. If that happens, it's a clear signal that the sellers are starting to take control. And if it drops below the year's major lows, well, that would be the ultimate killjoy for the bulls and would seriously damage that long-term positive picture.
Okay, so we've got the bull case, the bear case, and the technical picture. How does this all come together? What's the final verdict from the analysis?
So using what's called a discounted cash flow model, which is just a fancy way of estimating a company's true value based on its future earnings, the analysis lands on a fair value for AMD stock right around $193 a share. Now take that number, $193, and compare it to the recent market price of $222. You can see the gap right away. The market is pricing the stock significantly higher than what this particular valuation model says it's actually worth.
And this all leads to the core conclusion. Look, no one is arguing that AMD isn't a fantastic company with an amazing product. The issue here is purely about the price tag. The stock seems to be priced for perfection, and at these levels, it just looks a bit overvalued. That's what leads to a hold rating.
So, let's just boil this entire story down to 3 simple steps. 1. The opportunity in AI is absolutely massive, and AMD is in a great spot to capture a piece of it. 2. The risks are real. The competition is fierce, and its financials just aren't as strong as its rivals. And 3. That combination makes the current stock price look a little stretched, which suggests that maybe patience is the smartest move right now.
And that leaves us with the final critical question. We've laid out all the arguments. So now, the question for you is, with a great product in a booming market, but with that high price tag, does AMD's potential for future growth really justify paying a premium for the stock today? That right there is the multi-billion-dollar question. Thanks for tuning in.